The Plaza Hotel's grand ballroom sparkled with crystal chandeliers and old money as I adjusted my simple black uniform, watching Manhattan's elite arrive for the Harrison Family Foundation's annual charity gala. My stepfather Richard's pet project, a carefully curated display of wealth masquerading as philanthropy, where the size of your donation directly correlated to your social standing. Sarah, my stepsister Victoria's voice dripped with false concern as she approached in a gown that probably cost more than what she thought I made in a year. You're not wearing the proper serving uniform. The help should be in white gloves. I smiled, thinking of the documents in my bag. Papers that would reveal exactly who controlled not just the foundation but the entire Harrison family fortune. I wasn't aware I'd be serving tonight. Oh, but you must. She clapped her hands with manufactured delight. Daddy and Sis, we're short-staffed and well, it's not like you have anything better to do with your little tech company. If she only knew that my little tech company, Horizon Innovations, had revolutionized digital payment systems and financial technology. That while they played at charity, I'd built an empire worth billions. That their precious foundation now secretly depended on my company's technology for every transaction. Victoria. My stepfather's voice boomed across the marble floor. Stop chatting with the staff. The Vanderbilts just arrived. Richard Harrison swept over in his bespoke tuxedo, every inch the powerful philanthropist. He'd spent the 10 years since my mother's death ensuring I knew exactly where I belonged in the family hierarchy, somewhere between the catering staff and the coat check attendants. Sarah. He frowned at my lack of white gloves. The help should be invisible. You know the rules. Of course, I said quietly, thinking of how visible I was about to become. Though I did receive an invitation as a guest. He laughed, the sound echoing off crystal chandeliers. An invitation? Don't be absurd. This event is for donors. People who actually contribute to society. He gestured to the arriving guests in their designer gowns and family jewels. Not someone playing entrepreneur with a startup. Victoria smirked, adjusting her diamond necklace. Besides, the minimum donation is $5 million. That's probably more than your company is worth. If they only knew that Horizon Innovations was now worth $12 billion. That we'd processed over $1 trillion in transactions last year alone. That while they were arranging seating charts by net worth, I'd been quietly buying every company they depended on. Now, Richard handed me a serving tray. Make yourself useful. And remember, invisible. I took the tray, watching them sweep away to greet more prestigious guests. Through the crowd, I spotted my stepbrother James, who'd been made CEO of Harrison Industries at 25 while I was told to find more suitable employment. Careful with that tray, he called out. Those champagne flutes cost more than your startup's monthly revenue. Actually, they cost exactly $2,400 each. I knew because I'd bought them through one of my shell companies last month, along with most of the hotel's premium event supplies. The next hour passed in a parade of condescension as I circulated with drinks and hors d'oeuvres. The foundation's board members barely glanced at me as they discussed their transformative philanthropy. Victoria's socialite friends made a game of finding fault with my service. James loudly explained to anyone who would listen how he'd saved Harrison Industries from my father's misguided attempt to modernize it. If they only knew that Harrison Industries now ran entirely on Horizon's technology. That every digital transaction, every online payment, every piece of financial software they used belonged to me. At exactly 11:45, Marcus Weber, the foundation's director and my secret ally, approached the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We have a special announcement. Richard stood importantly, ready to begin his annual speech about family legacy and charitable giving. Victoria preened in her front row seat, while James straightened his bow tie. This year, Marcus continued, the Harrison Family Foundation has received an unprecedented donation. $50 million from an anonymous benefactor who wishes to reveal themselves tonight. The crowd murmured with excitement. $50 million was more than the foundation usually raised in 5 years. But first, Marcus smiled, this donor has some conditions regarding the foundation's future direction. Richard frowned, stepping forward. Now see here, Weber. The Harrison family controls this foundation. No donor can dictate. Actually, Marcus cut him off smoothly. As of an hour ago, the foundation's ownership has changed, along with its mission, leadership, and focus. The room went silent. Victoria's champagne glass froze halfway to her perfectly painted lips. Please welcome, Marcus gestured to where I stood, still holding my serving tray, Miss Sarah Harrison, CEO of Horizon Innovations and your new controlling director. The tray of champagne flutes crashed to the marble floor as I stepped forward, pulling out the $50 million check. Surprise. This is impossible, Richard sputtered. Horizon Innovations is a billion-dollar company. Sarah just has that little payment processing startup. That little startup processed $2 trillion in transactions last year, I informed him quietly. Though you'd know that if you'd ever bothered to learn what I actually do instead of just assuming I was only good enough to serve drinks. Victoria stood up so quickly her chair toppled backward. But we checked. Your company was nothing. You checked what I wanted you to check, I smiled. The small office downtown. A cover. The modest lifestyle. An act. The struggling stepsister. A role I played while building something you couldn't begin to comprehend. James had gone from smugly superior to ashen. The foundation's technology platform, the payment processing system. All mine, I confirmed. You've been using my company's software for years. Paying us quite handsomely for it too. Though you never bothered to look past the shell company names to see who really owned it. Richard stepped forward, his face purpling. Now see here. This foundation is a Harrison family legacy. Was a Harrison family legacy, I corrected. Now it's part of Horizon's charitable division. Along with control of Harrison Industries, which my company acquired through Shell Corporations last month. The silence that followed was absolute. Harrison Industries? James whispered. But I'm the CEO. We're the CEO, I smiled. The board voted this morning. Something about modernizing the company's leadership. Victoria had found her voice again. This is ridiculous. Daddy, do something. Oh, he can't, I assured her. The SEC is rather interested in how he's been running both the foundation and the company. The creative accounting, the misuse of charitable funds, the illegal stock trades. I pulled out another folder. Would anyone like to see the evidence? Richard fell into a chair, his perfect composure finally cracking. How long, he managed. How long have you been planning this? Remember last year's gala? When you made me park cars because I needed to learn my place? I watched recognition dawn in his eyes. I bought the foundation's first shell company the next day. Harrison Industries the week after. Then the hotel, the suppliers, even that wine company you love to brag about. Marcus stepped forward with more documents. The press release goes live at midnight. Tech billionaire reveals identity, transforms family foundation. The Wall Street Journal is particularly interested in the story about the CEO they made serve drinks. You can't do this. Victoria stood up again, tears threatening her perfect makeup. We're family. Family. I laughed softly. Was it family when you made me use service entrances? When you seated me with the kitchen staff at every event? When you spent years ensuring I knew exactly how little you thought of me? The next hour was a symphony of revealed truths. I detailed the foundation's new direction, how we'd be focusing on actual charitable work instead of social climbing. How the leadership would be replaced with people who understood both technology and genuine philanthropy. How the Harrison family's reign of performative giving was over. Of course, I added, enjoying the way they flinched, you're all welcome to stay. As regular donors. Though the minimum contribution is now $10 million. Annually. Victoria burst into tears, mascara streaking down her face. James attempted to call his lawyers, only to discover his phone had been cut off. Apparently the company had cancelled his account. Richard sat in stunned silence, watching his carefully constructed world crumble. The press had a field day with the story. Tech billionaire reveals identity at charity gala, ran alongside Harrison family empire falls to daughter they made serve drinks. Social media exploded with the delicious irony of it all. Richard tried to fight back, of course. He hired lawyers, attempted to rally donors, even tried to claim I was mentally unfit to run a foundation. But the evidence was ironclad, the acquisition legal, and his own years of mismanagement well documented. 1 month later, I sat in my new office, formerly Richard's sanctuary, reviewing the changes we'd implemented. The foundation had been transformed. Actual charitable work replaced social networking. Real causes received funding instead of vanity projects. Success was measured by impact, not social connections. Victoria tried to start her own charitable organization, but it turned out that actual philanthropy was harder than hosting parties. She now works as an event planner in Connecticut, the only job she could get after the scandal. James still sends emails occasionally, trying to negotiate his way back into Harrison Industries. I have them automatically forwarded to the same folder where I keep the documentation of how they treated me all these years. The final touch was the new foundation motto I unveiled at our first real charitable event. True giving isn't about who holds the tray. It's about who changes the world. I kept the serving tray though. It sits in my office next to Horizon's first patent. A reminder that sometimes the best revenge isn't just succeeding. It's succeeding so spectacularly that your enemies have to read about it in the society pages they once used to exclude you. The foundation's annual gala still happens, but now it's actually about charity. The guest list is based on genuine contributions, not social status. And yes, I sometimes help serve drinks, but only because I choose to, not because anyone tells me where I belong. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in taking over someone's foundation. It's in transforming it into something they never had the vision to imagine. And sometimes the best revenge isn't just succeeding. It's succeeding so spectacularly that your enemies have to watch their empire crumble while holding the same serving trays they once thought you deserved to carry. As for that $50 million donation, it's funding technology education for underprivileged students. Because sometimes the best way to change the world is to help others rise above the limitations others place on them. Just like I did.